Welcome back. Today we're going to talk about the top 8 reasons to not buy a home in South Lake Tahoe. I'm joined by Ryan Smith. Ryan, thanks a ton for joining me. And today, let's get right into it. What is the number one reason to not buy a home in South Lake Tahoe today?
Well, if you think that you're just going to turn it right into a short-term rental, that's a big topic for us in the city of South Lake Tahoe right now. Short-term rentals had a lot of changes over the last year, and there's a lot of interest. If you're wanting to buy a home specifically to turn it into a short-term rental, there are so many unknowns that are not discovered. We don't know what that economy looks like with the supply and demand of short-term rentals. We, since 2018, had virtually none inside of the city limits. They were limited to the tourist core. We had a few pockets out in the county. They had a cap and a buffer rule where certain rentals had to be a certain distance apart, 500 feet. And now in the city, we have a 900 cap. I think that we're pretty close to reaching that cap. We just don't know what the rental income looks like. We have no historical data to reference. So for anybody who's wanting to buy in South Lake Tahoe, it takes serious strategy to talk about what kind of rental they want to do, what their purpose is, what their goals, what their income goals are, and can they even get a permit? There's not a lot of clarity on how many permits are available. We know that there was already upwards of 300 active permits before this 900 cap was voted in. There was previously a 150-foot buffer rule where that got voted out. I anticipate that 900 cap to be filled this month, next month. It's just a matter of the city processing applications.
And there's no transparency into how many are left, right? That's the key issue.
That's one of the biggest unknowns is we don't know how many permits are left. And as an investor or prospective home buyer, you have to own that property to submit an application.
Right. So you could eventually buy it and then get stuck with your tail between your legs without a permit, essentially.
There are plenty of people that would tell you otherwise, like, oh, you can get a permit or you should be able to get a permit.
You're going to be fine.
You're going to be fine. I proceed very carefully around that topic. And any agent who's telling you that permits are no problems, I would be very cautious of. We don't know how many are left. We don't know what the wait list is going to look like. And more than that, we have no historical data to know how long that wait list turns over. If there's a wait list of 100 people, we don't know of the 900 permits that are active, how soon those are going to turn over.
Right.
Or what their profitability would look like.
So many unknowns. Proceed with caution and work with an agent who knows this and is going to shoot you straight.
Yeah, there are phone calls you can make. There's resources that we can get in touch with to try to dig in and learn a little bit more. And there's still opportunity out in the county as well. Those ordinances didn't change, but definitely proceed with caution and make sure that the numbers work because there's a lot of risk with the unknowns.
All right, number 2. Let's talk about the number 2 reason why not to buy a home in South Lake Tahoe. If you don't love the lifestyle and it's purely an investment, why is that?
Right. I love this topic. Well, Tahoe is a place to invest, but it's a place to invest with intention. When I first got started in real estate in 2019, my focus was on multifamily and was in the investment property area. My broker and mentor and longtime friend, David Vogt, he taught me the ways of the income properties and multifamily in Tahoe, and it was a niche for a while. We were able to produce significant returns compared to what you might find in other markets. Income property terms, talking cap rates of 5% plus, that lasted for a few years, and then we had this COVID boom. And now all of a sudden, these multifamily properties, a duplex with a 2-bedroom, 1 bath on each side, single car garage, went from $350,000 up to $600,000, even as high as $799,000. And when property values escalate to that high, what do the rents have to be to make significant return? So from an investor's perspective, you're buying a duplex at a premium price in a premium area like Tahoe, vacation destination, desirable area, but your rents can only be so much. Our affordability and locals can only pay so much. Just because you bought a place for $700,000, $800,000 doesn't mean that justifies a $3,500 a month.
The market can't bear it.
The market can't bear it, and we hit that within 2 years.
Got it.
When we were able to raise rents and trade, duplexes or triplexes at $200,000 a door, 200,000 a door, that was penciling out and making more sense.
That's
So
more Reno values now.
well, exactly. And when I get investor calls strictly on the multifamily side, I do turn sites to Reno, to Carson City, to Gardnerville. There's more inventory. The purchase prices are much lower than in Tahoe. And I guess back to that point, as an investor, if you're looking to invest in Tahoe, you're buying into that lifestyle. And our blood and breath is built around tourism and locals. And we can't press the locals to afford super high rents just because purchase price was high.
Right. Okay. So basically, it's going to be really tough for it to pencil. So at that point, you need to enjoy the investment as part of the lifestyle and not just purely numbers based.
Absolutely. I think Tahoe's safe to bet there's going to be appreciation. We're not building more of it, and building's already hard enough here around the lake. So the property value is going to have that desirability one way or another. The investment side of it is just, slow down, get a little bit more strategic. There's still plenty of opportunities for larger multifamily options, but I think something like a duplex, in my honest opinion, makes most sense for somebody who wants to keep one side for themselves and rent out another and sort of house hack it as an investment.
Yeah. I do like that. All right. Number 3, let's get into that. Jobs. If you're making Tahoe, if you're going to live in Tahoe full time, and it's going to be the place where you reside, you want to live the lifestyle. Let's talk about why not to move here because of jobs.
I mean, it's funny. I've had like 2 lives in Tahoe. I grew up coming here as a kid, and it was always my dream to live here. And when I was shifting between colleges, I came to Tahoe and I was working 3 jobs. I was working at Coldwater Brewery as a server. I was working at Heavenly. I was working at US Bank as a universal banker, which was a glorified title for me, being a teller and handling some business stuff. And for me, I thought that was a career path that I was growing into. And even working full-time, 40 hours at the bank, working weekends and working nights as a server, I barely had enough money in my savings account. I was barely making rent living by myself in an apartment way up on the hill by Stagecoach Lodge. So I think to this point, if you're moving to South Lake Tahoe and you're thinking about buying a house in South Lake, you need to have a plan for how you make money, because we don't have Fortune 500 companies on our strip. We are tourism based. If you don't come here with a plan to own a business, to create value, to impact Tahoe in a way that people value and pay for, it's going to be really hard. Mm-hmm. It's going to be really hard. A lot of locals are working 2-3 jobs. They're working nights. Their days off are Tuesdays and Wednesdays. They're working all throughout the weekends. And these are variable shifts. They're variable pay. And that's something that you need to account for. If you don't come here with a plan of how to make money, it can pose a huge risk.
For people that don't know you, tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do. We haven't done an intro yet.
Well, for those who are still watching, thanks for listening this far. My name is Ryan Smith. I work with Compass. Compass is my brokerage in South Lake Tahoe. I'm licensed in California and Nevada. I do sell a little bit in Reno, focus on the South Shore side of the lake though. That's where my bread and butter is. So that includes the State Line, Zephyr Cove area, all the way through South Lake. Started off, like I said, in the multifamily side of things, and sort of a jack of all trades. I've done and sold everything from boutique hotels to multifamily units to helping clients get into the short-term rental game, to multi-million-dollar vacation homes, to starter homes, including my first home, representing myself this last year. So it's been quite a journey. South Lake is a place that, as a kid, it was just a dream to live, and it takes a lot to come here and make it work. And back to our most recent point, real estate was my door in through to South Lake. When I was working those 3 jobs, I got so burnt out. I went back to school, Monterey, to finish my degree. It's where I met my wife, Cameron, and I was working for Apple at the time. And I had met David Vogt, my first broker here in that first 3 years. And he offered me an opportunity to come up and learn real estate. And I ended up turning him down the first time because I didn't want to leave Monterey. I also didn't want to move with Cameron just yet, but I didn't want to stop things there because I was excited about where it was going. So I buckled down and was working at Apple and pushing through that corporate ladder. And nothing but great things to say about that company, but I just got tired of asking for days off. And we went to Thailand and came back and said, we want more freedom.
That was it.
Yeah.
That's
So
awesome.
Thailand sparked it. And the next time within a month, we moved up to Tahoe. I didn't even have my real estate license. I think we had $2,000 in our savings account. Neither of us had jobs and we had no place to live. We were going to live on David's floor, which as soon as I got there, I'm like, this is a dumb idea. Yeah. I'm here with my broker living on his floor. And there's more of this story. We ended up getting a great house and rental, but yeah, real estate just took off. And I got very lucky on the COVID swing where there was a lot of demand in this market. I got a lot of experience early on and then started focusing and refining and practicing my craft and building strategic relationships. So real estate's been my path to my livelihood here in Tahoe. It allows me to sell what I love most, which is this place.
Yeah, certainly. And that's a classic Tahoe story, moving up here with no job and making it work.
Barely enough money.
Which is a testament to the lifestyle that you love. I will say there is, if you are strategic, like Ryan mentioned, you can make it work up here. The same thing happened with me. I moved up here with no plan. When I was, back in 2018, I was in my early 20s. But there are great industries you can get into: real estate, finance, tourism, hospitality. But so you can make it work. It's just you have to be very strategic and be willing to grind it out too. So let's talk about number 4, the number 4 reason to not buy a home in South Lake Tahoe. Let's talk about the snow.
Seems obvious, but snow is something that you have to take seriously. This last winter makes it feel easy. A couple big storms, the snow comes, and all of a sudden it's 50 degrees and town's melted and it's in and out, and it's sticking up on the mountains, raining a little bit in town. Those winters make it easy to forget the snowmageddons where it snows every single day in February, where your snowplow, your driveway is 11 feet high, just probably more like 16 feet of compressed snow. You're snow plowing 3-4 times a day. If you have a deck, you're hand shoveling that off. I mean, snow is no joke out here. We live in a high impact climate. Tahoe can be very tough, and people who aren't used to the snow and just like to play in it need to understand that there's a cost, there's a price to live here. On top of snow management, whether that be driveway, deck, all the obvious, and just emphasizing that ends up being more work than you think, especially in a big winter, there's other factors. Sometimes we lose power in the winter with heavy snowfall. Getting around town is much slower, oftentimes much rougher and bouncier. We get potholes, we have ice, sometimes we have big old snow berms and banks. You have tourists who are coming up who aren't used to driving in the snow, who end up banked on those snow banks or slid out or spinning out or going too fast. You have all sorts of precautions that you need to take. So there's an element of extra effort, and there's also an element of extra awareness for safety on the snow side of things that people need to take seriously, and cost surrounding all of that. Having the right gear, having the right snow tires, having the right car. Snow's serious.
Yeah. And learning to live in the snow is so important. Let's talk about number 5, patience for tourism. Reason number 5, if you don't have any patience for tourism, South Lake Tahoe might not be the place for you. Talk about that.
I love this question because for a minute there was a lot of hate going out towards tourists, and we had this horrible, go back to the Bay culture that was kind of
still a little bit of
there's
that.
still a little bit of that. And the people who are saying that aren't connected and don't understand that Tahoe's lifeblood and breath.
You know who says that the most? I'm going to call it out. People that are retired.
Yeah, it's like, okay, you made it here. Well, our tourism,
our locals don't get to sit around and not have to work a job all day long and just complain about tours.
Totally. Go tell the server who is working 4 nights a week, 8-hour shifts, that tourism needs to slow down. Their money, that directly impacts their take home. That directly impacts their ability to afford rent. That directly impacts their ability to live life and support themselves here in Tahoe. Tourism is essential to Tahoe. Do I think that we could have better awareness and greater respect for the lake? Yes, there's always going to be an element of that when a large amount of people are coming to visit every year. But we can do that through awareness. We can do that through kindness. And to your point, if you don't have patience for tourism, Tahoe's not the place for you. Tourists are welcome here. We are built to, this place is one of the most beautiful places on earth. Of course, people want to come. We have to have patience for people not knowing how to find parking at Eagle Falls and thinking that this side of the road is a little parking spot or that the beach won't be packed at this time. We have systems in place that help correct some of these behaviors. And in no way am I writing off anybody being reckless, but tourism is something we should have patience for. We want to welcome people to come up and enjoy Tahoe. That's why we live here. And I think as locals, if we did a better job of stewarding and demonstrating and showing and living life in a way that, just sort of demonstrates how we respect and treat our lake, we wouldn't be having as many conversations about this go back to where you came from.
There's no place for saying go back to wherever you're from. Everyone works hard to make the money to visit here or live here or what have you. So respect people.
Mm-hmm.
But if you do come to town, all I ask, pick up your trash. That's it.
Amen.
That's it. Pick up your trash. All right, let's talk about number 6, construction in South Lake Tahoe. A reason to not buy a home. Construction is not easy and it's not cheap.
Yeah, I won't go too deep on this, but you can use your imagination. You know, we're a sensitive environment. And there is a lot of red tape. You know, you've got the TRPA. We've got a lot of local ordinances that are required around building. You've got fire codes and fire insurance requirements to homes and getting materials and labor. You know, everything has a little bit of a Tahoe tax up here. So if you're thinking that you can come buy a lot and build for the same price per square foot as you could, say, down in the valley or down on the Nevada side, you'll be very surprised.
Account for that. All right, number 7, a reason to not buy a home in South Lake Tahoe is small town life. Let's talk about the small town life.
Yeah, if you're hoping to come here and just fade away and disappear, or you're used to big city life, just because we have tall casino buildings does not mean that we are a bustling city. This is a small town. Town full of locals. You know, I was just at the hangar last night at a show and just smiling, looking around. You know, I see fire captain to my left. I'm standing next to the gym owners who I care and love for deeply, and seeing all sorts of familiar faces. You know, this is a community. We don't have a plethora of options. You know, I have my one gym that I go to. I have my 2 coffee shops that I go to. I have my usually one grocery store that I go to. And so you start seeing some of these faces over and over and over and over again and compound that over for years. It's one of the most special parts about South Lake Tahoe is that community feel, that small town feel. Your reputation matters because people know who you are and they care to know who you are, especially if you show that interest. So yeah, don't come here if you want big city life and to disappear, because people want to connect.
Yeah, people do want to connect, and it is genuine. This is the thing I talk about. My brother lives in LA, and one of the biggest differences talking about LA is, and no disparaging LA, but it's he talks about how a lot of people are just in it for what's in it for me, right? It's not like that in Tahoe. People do truly want to help. They are shirt off your back type of people. So come here with an open mind and be open to connecting with people, and you're going to do great. Reason number 8, if you don't want to buy a home in South Lake Tahoe, you don't like the outdoors.
Yeah. Yeah, if you don't like playing outside, this just isn't the place for you. I mean, why would you come to Tahoe anyway? If you don't hike, if you don't like swimming on the lake, paddleboarding, biking, playing pickleball outside in the mountains, snowboarding, skiing, climbing, wakeboarding, boating, kayaking. If one of those is not on your list, I don't know what you're doing here. This is a town and a city and a place that is built around recreation. We have some of the best access to outdoors in California, some of the best mountain biking, world-class skiing. My opinion, most beautiful lake in the world that you can be out and do all sorts of water sports on. We have hikes, and especially on the South Shore side, I don't come out and hike much on an incline. There's hikes everywhere, but there are all sorts of little alpine lakes you can get out to, whether that be Dardanelles or Fallen Leaf Lake or Round Top or Winnemucca. You know, within 45 minutes, you can be at dozens of alpine lakes and hikes. So I would not move to South Lake Tahoe. I wouldn't spend any money or invest here if you're not an outdoors person. And back to the snow thing. If you don't play in the snow, snow is a burden. You have to see those fluffy 100%. Flakes falling and say, I can't wait to get out there after I'm done doing my work.
100%.
If you are not involved in some kind of snow sport, snow and winter will weigh down on you until it breaks you. I see it all the time.
It's true. Talking about all the small lakes around. So Monday, the 15th is my birthday. I'll be 31. And for my birthday, I want to go to Angora Lake And so that's what we're going to go.
Awesome.
Do. And
Have you ever been?
yeah.
Okay. There's
one
a
time,
big
but
jumping rock. Have you done the jumping rock out there?
Well, it's awesome because there's the small one and then there's like a medium and then there's the huge one.
The mega.
I didn't launch the mega one, but I'm going to take my buddy out there who moved to Incline a year ago from Texas. And he's like, the other day, he's like, man, I want to go cliff jumping. I'm like, I got the place for you.
That's awesome.
Let's go. So that's what we're going to do for my birthday. Ryan, thanks a ton for joining me. Is there anything you want to add before we wrap it up here?
Shay, thanks for having me. Yeah, I think that this podcast was fun to do as far as the reasons not to move to South Lake. I have a bucket of reasons of why you should. So
we'll have to do another one.
Yeah, if this is resonating and you have some curiosities or you need a little convincing as to why South Lake might be a great fit for you, my favorite people to work with are the people that are dreamers that just want to make Tahoe happen. And that can be first-time homebuyers. It can be moving on a whim like you and I did. It can be that vacation home and opportunity for their family they've been dreaming about. Those are my favorite people to work with because they get it and they want it. Tahoe is not something to spin the globe, put your finger down and pick. It takes intention. You need to fight to be here. There's a certain amount of tenacity and grit that's required to live here. And to make it work. So if you want to come to Tahoe, here are 8 great reasons why you shouldn't come if you disagreed with those, but there are hundreds of amazing reasons to move here and to create a life here. And for the dreamers, you're always welcome.
I love that. Guys, for anybody still listening, Ryan's contact info is in the description below. Reach out to him if you're looking to get into buying or selling real estate. Ryan, thanks a ton.
Yep, you're very welcome. Thank you so much for having me. All my contact info will be on there. At Ryan Lyon Tahoe is my personal Instagram account. I'm also connected to at Ryan Smith Tahoe Real Estate. And then I have a YouTube channel as well that we'll link out. So thanks for having me. I'd love to stay connected. And if you listen to this, say hi somehow.
Perfect.